Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of The Wrestling Realm. I am Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, and I am joined by the remarkable, the impeccable,
the real Dwayne Allen.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the Royal Rumble is coming up. I'm excited. This is like the best time of the year. You have the AFC Championship games. Then you have the AFC and NFC Championship game 1 week. Then you had that breaking period while they're at home and they get ready to transition to the Super Bowl. That's when the Royal Rumble comes on. Then afterwards is the Super Bowl. Most of the time the Royal Rumble is better than the Super Bowl anyway. Hey, that's just my opinion. But, you know, this is the 25th anniversary of the Royal Rumble coming up. And before we, look at this year's Royal Rumble and all the possibilities, let's look back at some of the history and some of the groundbreaking moments. So, let me ask you this. Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I have an idea what the answer is gonna be.
Okay, here we go.
What is your favorite Royal Rumble moment?
Wow, that's actually it's not a difficult one because I'm sort of split a little bit.
Okay.
Now we all think the most obvious answer would be one of the Shawn Michaels moments, was everybody thinks, but actually it's really not. In all honesty, I think as crazy as it sounds, it's pretty recent, and I believe it was 2010 when Edge returned.
Okay.
And he won the Rumble. I actually enjoyed that a lot. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Edge, even when he first came in. But I think that moment in and out of itself was probably one of my favorite ones, if not the most favorite one, because like I said, we all enjoy a feel-good story. Usually when a guy's out for a long time, or whatever the case may be, or somebody that's sort of not really been in the drop but haven't been in the title picture for a while, when they come back and make a splash and they get that that big shot at WrestleMania, hey, you can't go wrong. So I actually enjoyed Edge winning the Royal Rumble the most. Like I say, it was definitely a toss between that and I guess Shawn Michaels' second one. That was a close second. Okay. Naturally, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Edge winning in 2010.
I enjoyed Shawn Michaels' second Royal Rumble win because by this time I was a fan. This is during the time.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
By that time?
Yeah. Well, see, okay. I didn't start disliking Shawn Michaels.
Screw drop. Okay.
Afterwards,
right.
and
gotcha.
After reading about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I was a Shawn Michaels fan, and I remember me and my sister was watching it, and it caught us by surprise because if you remember, he had got jumped by the thugs in Syracuse.
Right.
And then Owen Hart, kicked him with the insecurity, and then Owen Hart knocked him out during the match. So you just knew that it was like, okay, it's a matter of time, he's going to go over the ropes. And, shouts out to Owen Hart, God rest his soul. He put on a hell of a performance in that match. Owen Hart even got eliminated in that match, but snuck his way back in.
It's the Owen Hart way. Like, you wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and then when it came down to Shawn and Diesel, perfect ending. Diesel throws out Kama, as Shawn Michaels has just eliminated the British Bulldog. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, best friends and all, but hey, it's the Royal Rumble.
That's true.
You talking about WWE Gold on the line.
Right.
Turns around, boom, sweet chin music, gone. Out of there. So I thought that, but his first Royal Rumble win, you remember when him and Davey started off, and then those were the same two people that ended it. Right. And he went up there, and when it came down to them two, the crowd popped.
Yeah.
And it was when you look at it, you even look at their faces, and they would go looking like, oh shoot, like they didn't expect it.
Right.
And then when Davey thought he had him eliminated, WWE even played his song, even played his music. Like you hear the British Bulldog theme as he's celebrating. All of a sudden, Shawn comes out. Now I didn't see this one live. I remember watching the next night on Raw. And I couldn't believe. I said, "What in the world's going on? Why did they?" Davey came up. David played my music, and how could you do this? This is not right. But one foot hit the rope. Now I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he brought up an interesting point. Shouts out to my boy Adam. He said that ever since then, you've always seen that spot. What do you think about that? As far as the 1 foot touching the rope and then swinging it way back in.
I mean, yeah.
1 foot touching the floor.
I mean, I think you've seen it. Like I think you've seen that type of spot in more ways than one, but that same concept has sort of, it's sort of traveled. It's almost like, I guess, a Royal Rumble tradition. I guess they sort of, certain situations, it sort of fades away for a little while, and it's like, what's one of those dependable things you can always go back to, because it's like, there's always that one guy that wants to win that bad, that to the point where he's giving everything he has to fight his way back into the ring. So when one foot actually hits the floor, he has that, because that's actually not an easy thing to do, to pull yourself back in the ropes like that. A lot of times,
They make it look so easy, though.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are incredible athletes, but you sort of see that. Like, I don't think it's as obvious as it always is, or it's not done the same way, but you sort of see some rendition of it every year, or every other year, or somewhat, and so forth. So,
yeah, another one. I'm gonna give you one of my favorite Royal Rumble moments, which. It's not my top favorite, but it's one of them. Randy Orton.
Okay.
He gets fired before going into the match. And, it's all this controversy. He's terrorizing the McMahon family. All of a sudden, he wins the Royal Rumble. So it's like, all right, Orton won the Royal Rumble. Now, what can you do with him? Because he's in the main event at WrestleMania. And as bad as Vince wanted to fire him, he couldn't. And that story developed all the way to WrestleMania. And that's what I always liked about the Royal Rumble, because these stories, that's what they develop from January all the way to March, April. So you have a full story being told. Any other highlights that you had?
Like we were discussing earlier, I've always enjoyed Stone Cold Steve Austin's early involvement in the Royal Rumble, not really his win so much in 2001, but his early days back in 97, 98. What I always tell people about Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he first came into that character, that probably was the most you saw of the actual Stone Cold character. You can see he was trying to develop and figure out where he was going, and I loved it. Like, it's like when I first saw Stone Cold and watched him, he had already sort of came into his character. He sort of became Stone Cold instead of still trying to develop the character. But when you first saw him, he was just over the top with the just the rudeness and the arrogance and the stuff that he was doing, and it was so funny to me. Like, I watch it now and I say, wow, this guy really was funny. And it's funny because the way he was, he would throw people out. He was doing push-ups in the middle of the ring. He would sometimes look at us, act like he was looking at his watch, and it was funny because 98 came around. He already won in 97. Randy cheated. He came back in 98, and it was funny because you watch before the Royal Rumble, everybody's like, man, everybody's trying to find Stone Cold, take him out now.
Right.
And the Royal Rumble's going on, and stuff is happening, and we just seen Mick Foley come out of 2 different characters. And you have everybody in the ring, and his music hits, and everybody stops in the middle of the ring and turns immediately to the entrance, wait for him to come out. He comes out of the crowd at the back and starts taking care of business. I thought that was just funny. I mean, he's just one of the greatest entertainers. He makes moments like that make Royal Rumble interesting. I never thought it was always the match, because when I was a kid, I remember for seeing Royal Rumble, everybody was on the ring at first. So when I didn't see that, I was like, this is stupid. Like, I've seen 3 or 4 people in the ring at one time. I didn't fully understand the concept of the Royal Rumble. But as I got older and I looked into it, and I sort of got a better feel, I never thought it was the actual match that got you, but I thought it was always the themes, moments, and anticipation. Yeah. I say the theme because it was always, Royal Rumble was always that point where, one, it was the halfway point to WrestleMania. And 2, you got to really look at, okay, who's the guy they're trying to put in line to be next? Yeah. Or at least get the opportunity to be in that picture of being next. 2, I say anticipation because, 1, you don't know what order anybody's coming in, unless first or 30, or unless they announce it. It's like, if you don't constantly pay attention, you don't remember all 30 people in order. So it's like, okay, you see the order in which people come out as and things like that. And I say the moments because Royal Rumbles have been known to have shocking moments, especially they've got the habit of having a special comeback or special appearance by somebody. I remember one year it was RVD. Yeah. And then another year, of course, I think one of the biggest ones was when Nash and Booker T returned. Now, granted, they were only in the ring for a few seconds to do a thing, but Nash really came back as Diesel, and he was jacked. He had a new look. His hair was completely black from what we seen as the Silver Fox in TNA. You know what I mean? He was doing his thing over there, and then he disappeared for a while. He came back, and the huge ovation he got, as well as Booker T. When Booker T came out, he said, yeah, people were cheering so loud, he thought somebody was behind him. Just him coming back in and taking on the new Nexus and things like that. Moments like that, which I think make the Rumble important, not only because of the matchup, but more of the event. I'm a bigger picture kind of guy. Right. So, like, the matches are always good for what they are, but it's these moments and the anticipation and the theme of, okay, who's going to be that next guy, or who's really going to win. We all have our favorites, and I think it's really good when WWE really lines it up to the point where you have a certain amount of guys in the ring at one time. They say, oh, any one of these guys can really go. You know, and then so it's like you're sitting there watching it, okay, who? And it's funny because as the product changes and they engulf the PG era of what we know today and what their product is, you see stuff like last year, Santino and Alberto Del Rio, the last ones, you know, he really had you rock and rolling. People really thought that Santino, like, yo, if he wins the Rumble,
yep.
You know, the fact that he was like, oh no, they're not gonna let this guy win the Rumble, and he really came that close. It keeps the match interesting. You know, it's not so obvious. You don't just put Randy and John Cena at the end of the ring and now you look around, oh, it's us two left, who's gonna win?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what has made the Royal Rumble stand out and be a lot different from other different specialty matches that you've seen in professional wrestling.
But you know, one thing you did, you brought up a good idea. Good point. When you said the anticipation and not being able to keep up with everybody. Because you think about, when it comes down to 28, 29, 30,
right.
Unless it's like your top favorite superstar personally, you almost forget, like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. And when it comes down to the 30th person, providing it's a year that they don't tell you who the 30th entry was,
right.
You just think, okay, it just has to be, you constantly do this. Then the music hits.
Right,
and
right,
like,
right.
Yeah, you know. Looking at some of the older Royal Rumbles, I'm glad you brought up a point about, you know, how now it's worth something. I sat back the past couple of days and weeks. I watched the 88 through 91 Royal Rumble, and they were kind of boring. Everybody knows I'm a huge Hulkamaniac, but Hogan winning in 90 and 91, to me, it was just solidifying, okay, this is going to be something big.
Yeah, it's a legit match, right?
So we're going to let our top guy win it.
Hogan is huge, though, because that guy, he put over a pay-per-view. Like, he put over a match concept.
Yeah.
Give him credit for that.
You know, and, you know, Jim Duggan wins the Royal Rumble in 88. First Royal Rumble winner. You can't take that away from him.
But I don't think nobody took it seriously because of that, though.
It was on USA.
Right.
It was just like a special.
Right.
And it wasn't even the last match. Which, if I'm not mistaken, with that year, and I think 95 is the only other year, 96 is the only other year, where it was a match that followed that. In 96, It was Bret Hart and Undertaker. That was the main event in Fresno, California.
Yeah, okay.
But I know it was a tag team match. That I think it was like the Islanders, and I forgot who they was facing in 88. But I was sitting there watching it, and I was just like, okay, this is kind of boring. Then in 89, Duggan is the first match on the card. You know, and when I was watching this the other day, I was thinking, okay, Hogan went out clean, which makes sense back then, but now you were like, well, you're going to let your top star go out in a clean manner, even though he was being double teamed by, it was two big guys, by Boss Man and Akeem, if I'm not mistaken. It was just something that you didn't think would happen. Ric Flair, oh my goodness, winning, in my opinion, probably within the first 10 years, probably the most star-studded Royal Rumble when he won the WWE Championship.
Okay.
The only big star that wasn't there was Bret Hart, who was out because of sickness, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, no, I'm sorry. I think Bret was out because he was sick. But, yeah, Flair winning that one. Because at the time, the story, as you were saying, him, Hogan, who is the real world champion? That Royal Rumble told you who was the undisputed champion.
It makes a valid point. When you had probably arguably two of the biggest stars, especially of that era, you know, who sort of ushered in what we know as sports entertainment today. I mean, two of the probably the greatest ever entertain anybody in the ring. I mean, us fans. To have those guys, you know, like I said, what you said, I think those guys really solidified what that event really was. Because it showed that, okay, these guys are the real deal, and you know, if these guys winning it, this is the match to win. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's good. I think that's old school star problems. I think it's very few stars that can actually put over a match like other matches I think of. Maybe is like maybe a casket match, Undertaker, or even a TLC with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys at one point. You know, so that to the point where it's a pay-per-view now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So. I mean, I think that's.
Yeah, you mentioned the Hardys.
I did say the Hardys.
You said Edge, Christian, and the Dudleys.
I said the Hardys.
I didn't hear the Hardys.
Okay, well he didn't hit the hardest, so I'm gonna say the hardest.
I thought that was like, Daddy, you really.
Oh
don't-
no, I'm saying the hardest. No, they got issues, but that's it's personal stuff. It's
Now
personal
let me
stuff.
ask you this.
Okay.
94.
94. Here we
2
go.
Royal Rumble winners. What did you think about that? What
I
did
thought
you
that
think?
was stupid. I never liked Lex Luger. They should have let Bret Hart win. End of story. Moving on.
I remember that was the first Royal Rumble. I know I always go into where I was. That was the first Royal Rumble we ordered. And it was on a Saturday, believe it or not. Actually, the day after my sister's birthday. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay. Luger was a big star at the time. Much as you might not have liked him.
He was though.
But at this time, he was also starting to lose that firepower he had. And if they were going to give him a legitimate run, that would have been the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also had Bret Hart, who you was building back up because, to me, they saw more of a more longevity with Bret.
Mm-hmm.
Luger, even though 94, that summer, WCW was really starting to go into the next gear.
Right.
I don't think if you had Lex Luger at the time, he could have really gave them that push they needed just to tread water. So,
No.
I think that was kind of like a trial and error thing. And then I almost thought you was going to see the same thing with The Rock and Big Show in 2000. But I'm glad they went with The Rock. Even though The Rock would go ahead and lose his title match, only to regain it back. It was that whole WrestleMania 2000 thing. That was just like, it could have been so much better. Well, I wasn't a fan.
I guess around that time things started to, because they, that I guess WWE was kicking WCW in the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, what was going on was working for them, but it just you saw the product begin to change into, I guess, what you would consider almost leading into the post Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of I guess maybe 90s, 7 to about 99, late 2000 maybe or early 2000. So yeah.
2001 when they deemed it as official.
Let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
the jokes of the Royal Rumble, the guys that come right in and get tossed right out.
Oh, you talking a warlord? Even to a point, Santino Marella, not so much because that was just a joke. I think it gives Drew Carey. It gives a character. It allows you to sit up there. It gives you something to laugh because that's a long match. You talking, looking at the same match, for 70 minutes closely.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta have those jokes in there. You gotta have, I think CM Punk at the time I didn't like him, but I thought he was very entertaining when that year was it 2010 when he sat down and cut a promo in the middle when he had the Straight Edge Society. He sat and cut a promo. Shout out to Mr. Pipe Bomb, who is Punk's biggest fan. He was talking about this a few weeks ago, but he sat down and cut a promo.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then last year, him and the New Nexus, they was getting rid of everybody.
Right.
I think even Khali they had trouble with, but they was eventually able to get him out. Chris Benoit, being the second number one entry to win the Royal Rumble, and I know you're not a Benoit fan
At all.
but what do you think that
Actually,
says?
I take it back. I am somewhat. I just was never.
And we might get censored for mentioning his name, but what do you think about him in the 2004 Royal Rumble lasting that long?
I mean, it wasn't surprising, regardless of what they were trying to do with him. He obviously had some star power, and they were trying to, get everybody else to take him seriously. Not to say people weren't taking him seriously, but, sort of move him up so I guess where he naturally belonged. Mm-hmm. I mean, he belonged in the main event picture. Mm-hmm. There's no denying that, his work and everything like that. It was just, you notice WWE's attempt to take a veteran, a guy who's worked well in the ring for a really, really long time and try to, move him into 2004 was not my favorite year of wrestling by any means. Was not a fan of none of it. I'm going to go say none of it. Yeah, it just did. At the time I did not like the product at the time. During that time of the business, I think maybe late 2004, early 2005, I started to get back into it heavy. Mm-hmm. I think it was well deserved. I mean, and of course, like I say, if there's any way to make someone take any superstar seriously within that match, of course, have him coming in number one and last the entire Royal Rumble, because that's just a true testament to what kind of superstar. It's very few that has done that.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, he must be a real deal if he can do that. He's one of those guys that he came in and he really took care of business from 1 to 30. He lasted the entire Royal Rumble. So.
Well, you look at like some of the guys. You look at some of the smaller guys. I mean, the guys who've lasted that long. They have been relatively smaller guys. You're not going to let Undertaker or even a Big John Stud, Hulk Hogan. You're not going to put them in at number 1 and let them last the whole match. You look at people who come in the top 10 and won it. Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton,
right? Yeah,
Vince McMahon. We all know that Vince McMahon. What I liked about the '99 Royal Rumble, we got to see Vince McMahon back on the color commentary.
Yeah, the guy's good at what he does. I don't care what nobody says.
Yep.
That was hilarious.
Everybody always talks Gorilla and Bobby, Gordon Soley, JR and the King. Nobody likes to give Vince McMahon credit too much as a play-by-play guy.
He was probably one of the best to do it. I don't care what nobody says. Like, Vince can get on right now and be like, just for the sake of it. Like, if he wasn't in character, he could still go right now with it with no issue.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to some of the matches that weren't Royal Rumble matches.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite match out there that was on the Royal Rumble card that wasn't a Royal Rumble match?
Probably the Shawn Michaels Undertaker casket match.
Okay.
As I guess as hurtful as that is to say that now, because we all know about that backdrop.
Yeah.
Woo. I think that's probably one of my favorite, because I was just a huge Shawn Michaels fan, but also was a huge Undertaker fan.
Okay.
I always thought Undertaker was really quiet back in those days. Like, you didn't hear much from him. It's like without Paul Bearer, I guess once they sort of separated from that, you didn't hear when he was. I want to say when Kane sort of came back and they were going. That was probably one of the, in my opinion, I thought that was probably one of the most important feuds of Undertaker's career, because it added depth to the story that we've always heard. But but it's sort of to come on. Then you notice it as JR said, they embellished the Undertaker's character.
Yeah.
You saw it continue to develop, but I've always liked Undertaker in the ring. I always liked the fact that he was about 6'8", 6'10", and he could go with a guy like Shawn Michaels. Yeah. And they put on a legit match, and and not just him, but him and guys like Bret Hart, and even the brief feuds he had with like Steve Austin and stuff like that. Maybe a year prior, but that match in particular, I really enjoyed it. I did. I mean, I liked the dynamic of the match. I wasn't too much of a fan of. I thought they could have did the ending a little better, but the only reason I say this is because when I first saw it, I didn't get it at the time because I wasn't watching wrestling like consistently, because I guess different things, like I wasn't keeping. I never fully kept up with the story all the way around. Like, I would get bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
I didn't at the time. I didn't realize that Kane was sort of acting like he was trying to create a bond with the Undertaker, just to turn on him still. So, but I think that probably was the one that stood out the most for me.
Remember his match with Yokozuna?
Oh yeah,
'94 Royal Rumble. Ted DiBiase was on commentating that night.
Right.
And I remember this. I remember this. Not even going back looking at the videos again. But I remember that night when they had these crazy images of the Undertaker, and they had like a inside camera shot of the casket, and he's laying like this, and he goes like this, and DiBiase goes, "I might not be able to sleep tomorrow night, McMahon." And I was sitting there, and I watched it with my father, my sister, and my neighbor, and we go, ugh, Now, mind you, we gotta get up and go to church the next morning. And I'm like, oh no, what in the world? But that was an interesting match, because, I mean, clearly, Yokozuna, as big and mammoth as he was, couldn't defeat The Undertaker by himself. He had pretty much all the heels come out and help put him in the casket, which later turned around, this is when they didn't have so many pay-per-views, developed for Survivor Series of 94, where they had a rematch, and you had Chuck Norris. But my favorite non-Royal Rumble match will always be Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle at the 2003 Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship.
As much as I want to hate on that, I can't.
That was like wrestling at its finest.
That's just pure technical mat wrestling. I mean, there few. If there's any feud that I enjoy with Chris Benoit, it's definitely his and Kurt Angle's. Like I said, no one will ever forget that cage match.
WrestleMania 17. Oh yeah, the cage match. I mean, 2001, the gold medals.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Backlash or Judgment Day. those two used to have some incredible matches.
If anybody ever made Chris Raw maybe actually care about what he was doing in the ring, it was definitely Kurt Angle.
Yeah, between him and Chris Jericho. And I would definitely say, and I would love to speak to Kurt Angle and find out, obviously Chris Benoit is a sensitive subject to everybody, but I would just like to know, like, what was it like working with him, knowing that, because as good as these guys were, they always brought the best out of each other.
And that's what makes, good wrestlers great. If you're able to pull the best out of somebody and you can make them look better than what they did when they came in, when they leave, you've done your job.
Yep.
That's what you get paid to do. So check this out. We're going through all this old stuff. We all know there's always these shocking moments at the Royal Rumble. Let me ask you this. If you had a chance right now for future Royal Rumbles, before we get into what's coming up next, future Royal Rumbles, what would you like to see at a future Royal Rumble? That one shocking moment. We all seen Diesel came back. We seen Booker T come back. What's that one moment or two or moments that you would say, okay, if I had a special moment at a Royal Rumble that I would like to see, and maybe in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, what would you like to see?
That's a good question.
What would make the Royal Rumble that much better for you to say, okay, now this one, this is it. This is it right here. This is the Royal Rumble.
I can't even think because, like, pretty much everything's been done. You already had your number one win all the way and win it. You've had your number 30 come and win it. You look at pretty much every top star has won it. The only thing I can say, Hulk Hogan come back and join the Royal Rumble, Hogan and Flair, but then that's like, I don't know. What about you?
I have a few. I would like to see a couple of re-debuts at the Royal Rumble. I would love to see Kurt Angle come back at a Royal Rumble. Even if it's just for a little bit. I would love to see. I just had it in my head. How did I just forget it just that fast?
I like to see Drew McIntyre win.
Okay. Anyway, that's moving on to the next thing because that just destroyed this entire segment right here.
How you always hate on McIntyre?
You do this every single time. Then you text me and say, "Oh, McIntyre's on his way. He's getting a push," and he got buried by Santino with the.
No, he didn't get buried. He didn't get buried. Let's clear that up. That was for Santino to get his GM spot. McIntyre's job wasn't on the line, so he's still relevant.
I'm not saying he's not relevant, but he still got buried. I never said he got buried in business, but he got buried by anybody who takes the cobra. That's it. Yeah, he's not. McIntyre has this. I gotta earn my place because I was an arrogant prick before. Now that's his thing. Now, granted, thank God he's doing something.
Yeah.
But come on.
It didn't happen on TV. It didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah. Don't try to use no house show stuff.
Zack Ryder.
That's too easy. Come on now.
No, I'm saying
Zack Ryder what?
Zack Ryder coming in and possibly, just getting the crowd surrounded and using that camera to do something. I don't know what, but something. It's like I said. You think about it, a lot of stuff has been done, so that's why you caught me off guard here. I always tell everybody this. I'm not a writer. I don't write for the WWE. Don't profess to be one. That's a come. I sit back and enjoy the story rather than try to rewrite it every week. So you look at. That's why I said, like, I really can't think of one.
Right.
I will say that something kind of similar what John Morrison did last year.
Okay.
Something like that would be like, oh wow, that funny moment.
Anyway, this is Drew McIntyre and John Morrison. Wow, I don't know where he's going, all this stuff, but this is just completely that's.
I mean, you ain't even prepared me for that question.
I mean, but that's the whole point. We're in the realm. Anything can happen in the realm.
I must say, you did your job.
Think about it, because it's always like I said. We know the matches. We know our favorite moments, but it's got you got to say to yourself, okay, this is a 25th anniversary. What can they do to make this bigger than all the rest of them? Because you've done so much already. What's going to stand out about this? Because they have to do something. You know what I mean? Even if it's just something, I don't know, little. But it's like, okay, these Royal Rumbles have been going on for a while. And it's like you got to keep, bringing the hype. Now, granted, the match does a really good job, but like I said, you got to constantly come up with these new moments with a new product, a new generation, and you're moving into, I guess, a completely new generation of wrestlers and entertainers that can do different things, that can introduce new things to the product. So it's like, okay,
I like to see it come down to Goldust and Cody Rhodes.
That
let your Intercontinental Champion win it for the first time in history.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's just, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, I know it's not that big dynamic moment that the real Dwayne Allen is looking for.
It's not.
Nonetheless, That's just something I like to see. What else would you like to see?
Let me see. I probably would like to see something else. Something I guess a bit I guess shocking.
Okay.
Not necessarily in a provocative way, but something that sort of will make me say, okay, that's what's supposed to happen type thing.
Karma come back and win a Royal Rumble?
Something like that. That right there.
Win it though?
I won't say win it.
Okay.
But then you never know. What if a woman ever win a Royal? I think that would be disappointing for a lot of people. But I think it would be huge for women's wrestling. But unfortunately, women's wrestling isn't like that anyway.
What title did she go for? Because technically, she can go. If there was a year for a woman to win a Royal Rumble,
China did it. It was believable. Now, granted, whoever had to work with it didn't like it. Jericho or Jeff Jarrett wasn't too big fans of it. I'm gonna work with a chick.
Right.
But hey, it did wonders for her career though.
If there was a year, it would be this year because, well, no, if Daniel Bryan hadn't cashed in, I should say, it would be this year because people preliminarily, think it's preliminarily booked that Jericho's going to go against Punk, and for a while WWE.com had under their WrestleMania matches Daniel Bryan versus World Champion. So if there was a year for a woman to win a Royal Rumble like a Karma, it would have been this year.
Would that be crazy though? What if she came back at the Royal Rumble though? I think everybody be so. I think that'd be like everybody be like, what?
First, everybody be doing like this. Isn't 9 months? That was quite fast. You know.
Hey, if never mind, I ain't gonna say that. But if think about it though, I think that'd be quite. I think that'd be funny though. I mean, think about it. She comes back at the Royal Rumble, most likely in life, but entertaining for a little bit. Her music hits, that little laughter. Her probably be like, what? Are we allowed to hit her? Like, but hey, they beat the crap out of China, so.
Randy Orton.
He wouldn't care.
You know what I'm saying? It is in St. Louis.
Oh yeah, I think he's coming back a little bit.
I don't want to see him win it. I couldn't pick out a Royal Rumble winner till the other day. I looked at SmackDown, and Sheamus and Wade Barrett really stuck out to me.
Okay. Well, let's lay it on the table. There's a number of guys that we feel like might be on the brink of breaking through that glass ceiling or rekindling championship runs because Sheamus is in that category. Who are they? Who do you see at least?
Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes.
Naturally. Those four right now just been
slightly. I'm going out on a limb with this one.
Jinder Mahal.
I wasn't going to even say him. He needs to be repackaged like Brodus Clay.
No. You don't like the Haji thing?
It's not getting over.
It's not.
It was better. I thought they had something with him and Khali. I was intrigued by that storyline. Now it's just, oh no. Tyson Kidd. I would love to see. It's something missing. I don't know what it is. It's just something missing.
I think Tyson Kidd is one of the most talented guys in the business right now. For him to be that, I guess, because he's a smaller guy. Naturally, I think if he was a cruiserweight champion right now, he would be, that guy. Because of his height, he's growing his hair back, changed his look up a little bit more, and he's probably one of the few surviving of the Hart dynasty that's still there between him and Natalya.
Yeah. David
Hart Smith not there, but I'm sure we'll be back at one point.
Oh, hopefully. He definitely needs to be.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I can't think of anybody else outside of those obvious four.
Okay.
That there's guys that are trying to break through into that group. Guys like Jack Swagger, trying to break through into that group where people take him seriously again.
Yeah.
Because that's why he's constantly in matches with. And it's crazy because being with Vicky and Ziggler has done really good for his career because he's in matches with the top guys, with the John Cena's and CM Punk and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he's, his in-ring ability has never been questioned. It's just getting people to actually care about him again and actually keeping them caring about him one way or another, whether they hate him or love him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you see any shockers? Anything? Who's okay? So between those guys, who do you think is going to probably win this year?
I'm gonna go with Wade Barrett. I think he's got the proper heat behind him. For the past 2 years, it's been a SmackDown guy.
I don't think so.
So, but yeah, if I had to, I would go Wade. He needs it certainly to be taken seriously as a main eventer. He needs it. Sheamus is kind of on a. He's kind of on a standstill. Like.
You think so?
Yeah, people care about him, but he's not transitioning into the net for the title reign yet.
I don't know about that. I can't say I agree.
You don't?
I don't. I think I don't think there's anything you can do with him right now. But I think at any moment they could easily give him the strap.
No, I'm saying yeah, but they can. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm just saying like at the moment,
okay,
they can't just. He's just not. It's no room for him right there. You know, you got to clear out this Big Show, Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan love triangle, and then you can throw Sheamus in there. But Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, a rematch at WrestleMania, the match we didn't get to see a year ago. Oh man, they would put on a hell of a match.
But then again, you got so say Daniel Bryan is world champion at WrestleMania. You really gonna have Wade Barrett versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I guess you got a point.
I mean, you could even ride out this whole Daniel Bryan. If you want to let him have his run until WrestleMania, you could probably have, say Sheamus does challenge him. Sheamus could beat Daniel Bryan and start his reign, and then Daniel Bryan would be mad because, I don't know, Big Show might have sneezed at him wrong or something he blames or whatever the case may be.
Get your hands off my shoulder.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
What?
I told you. But, I don't know. I think the best part about all this that we're talking about and we're discussing is that the product has become that much more unpredictable nowadays, and it's you really don't trust the WWE, and you don't even trust your own fan intuition because based off what's been going on, it's like man they can throw a curveball at any time. Chris Jericho could win for all I know.
Yeah,
and challenge CM Punk.
And as I said on
not say a word.
As I said on
and cry again.
As I said on Perfect Plex Talk Radio, which you can find on Blog Talk Radio / the Game V1
plug
every Monday night, 11:30 Eastern.
Or as I call it, site.
What?
Nah, I ain't gonna say it.
As I said,
Mark on Mondays.
What? As I said on Perfect Plex Talk Radio, you know the WWE is where we, the Triple H promised that it was going to be unpredictable.
That was the main thing he said.
He did not say we was going to like everything. He didn't say we was going to hate everything. So, that's all I got to say about that.
With that being said, will this be a good time to transition?
Final thoughts? Yes.
Final thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for a new wrestling round. For a new cutting-edge wrestling round. For a new way of looking at things. We will be expanding. From here on out, we had to come back and address you guys. We know it's been a while. When you watch the product on television, just enjoy it. Whether you like it, if you don't like it, enjoy the fact that you don't like it. If you have a problem with it, enjoy the fact you have a problem with it. But the minute you begin to criticize the business that makes millions and billions of dollars, you don't make much sense at all. And it's okay not to agree with it. But just, if you can't enjoy the product for what it is, there's always TNA. Go ahead. Exactly. Nobody's, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the real Dwayne Allen. I am Mr. Main Event, Brian Waters. You can check us out on Twitter at Wrestling Realm. If you haven't seen some of the previous episodes, just go ahead and YouTube us. Hell, Google us. You'll find us on a couple of different sites. And if you do not know what we're talking about when we say the group page, just log on to Facebook, type in the Wrestling Realm, like the fan page, request to join the group. You'll be in as soon as we get the request. If I had my way, you just go right on in there. But hey, that's just the way Facebook does things. Excuse me. Last but not least, check us out on Perfect Plex Talk Radio, hosted by yours truly, Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, and Mike Knox, the CEO. We got Luke Robinson coming up.
From Tough Enough.
We got Nicole Mathis, up and coming independent wrestler. She's amazing. Seeing some of her work. And we got, you ready for this one?
Okay.
Former WCW Tag Team Champion.
Stevie Ray.
Nah. Scotty Riggs.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Scotty Riggs, used to be with Marcus Buff Bagwell. Never was a really fan of Marcus.
Wasn't Riggs part of Ravens Flock at one point?
That's a good question.
I believe it was.
I believe it was.
I believe it was Riggs.
Call in and ask him.
There you go.
347-637-3859.
Plug.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he is the real Dwayne Allen. I am Mr. Main Event Prime Warriors, and thank you for joining us on another episode of The Wrestling Realm.